Hello and welcome to Paxton Road TV. This is the Paxton Road TV reaction show for the game. Has just finished. Chelsea 2, Tottenham Hotspur 0. And I'm joined in the house with super guest, as per usual. Spurs, Darius 352K, Sean, Nigel, and Christina. Was it an inevitability that we weren't going to get the result today? I was crying and saying at least we're going to try and maybe get a draw out of this. I looked at the team sheet. Didn't fill me with confidence. But get to 0-0 half time, you may be thinking that we could possibly get something out of this game. But yeah, there's a few things in there today in terms of the selections, in terms of the substitutions. That does leave a little bit of a sour taste. But I think if we're honest, Chelsea 100% the better team, better squad. And on the face of it, deserve to win that game. Before we start going around getting everybody else's views, make sure you hit that like, subscribe, a notification bell as well. Make sure you tune into Paxton Road TV. Everybody that's watching, please hit that like button for us, and we will hopefully try and give you as much content as possible. It's hard what it's today. It's hard like today, but we have to do it. Let's start with you, Sid. What's your thoughts on the game? How do you think the performance was from the team?
I think we said it on the group, didn't we? Everybody was on a high after Wednesday night beating Leicester. Everyone was going into the game going, yes, yes, yes. And then when the team sheet came out, everyone went, oh, no, there may be trouble ahead, because I still don't understand that system. I don't understand the meaning of half the players. Well, not half, a few of them that played. We got what we deserved, to be fair. But my biggest concern is the fact that we've played them 4 times this season. We've not scored a goal against them in 360 minutes of football, right? There's just a mentality block. I don't know what it is, whether they're just scared of going to Stamford Bridge. And if that's the case, then every season when that fixture list comes out, we just give them the 3 points. Because what is the point getting all the fans, all the poor fans that have to go watch this away and home, and we don't put in a performance? And it's just getting ridiculous. I mean, you know what? It was just a myth, and I'm blaming some blame on Conte, but we'll talk about that later on. Everyone else can have their say, but yeah, Conte's got to take some blame again today.
100%. I agree, and we'll get into that in a little bit. You know, we've what was it, 9 games up until today, unbeaten in the league. Yes, it was almost like a bit of an inevitability with the Chelsea game. Come down to you, Christina. What did you think?
Sorry, my mouse wasn't working then. Had to mute. Just sheer and utter disappointment. Yeah, it was just one of those days. Typical Chelsea game, wasn't it? You know, the Harry Kane goal, that was a disappointment as well. And I would have thought, like with the Leicester game that we had, I thought that might have given us a bit of inspo, given us a bit of a drive after that, but clearly not. And yeah, I do think Conte made some errors in, the formation. I did not like at all. As soon as that lineup came up, I was a bit, this is not going to happen, is it? Yeah, it was a very disappointing watch, basically. And as well, we got to take this is now 4 goals we've had disallowed, I think, this season from Chelsea. But yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, disappointment.
It's very disappointing. And you know what it is? I think I was saying before, in football, it's generally a bit of a rule. If you score first, going and winning the game half time, it's usually, you come out the other side with the stats. So you certainly don't lose too many by scoring first. But it's always going to be the case against Chelsea. We haven't scored against them all season. We played them 4 times now. They scored 3 in the first game against us. They scored 2 and then 1 in the league, the League Cup games, and then another 2 today. And we can kind of look at a bit of a huff and a puff. But if hand on heart, we didn't really, apart from the Kane goal, which again is a bit debatable whether it was a foul or not. I personally believe it was a foul. And the reason I say that is because if it was given the other way, and we didn't get that, I would be screaming, that's a foul. He's put his hand on him. He's made a little bit of a nudge. Now, the player doesn't have to stay on his feet. That's not what they're designed to do. Players are not designed to stay on their feet. They go down. And that's what he did. And, we can't look at that as being the thing that would have changed the game. Yes, we would have got the first goal. And yes, we would have probably had to be a bit more defensive. But I think Chelsea would have probably scored. Maybe we would have got a draw out of it. But yeah, there was things in that half-time thing of not changing Tanganga. I still think it was a major error coming out, because on that right-hand side, that's where the goal came from. Hudson-Odoi went one-on-one versus Tanganga. He obviously can't bring him down. Cuts inside, ball into Ziyech. Ziyech was a worldie. I know Pipes was saying Lloris was at fault, but I'm not sure what Lloris could have done about that. Not sure. Darius, your thoughts on the game?
I'm not actually that mad, to be fair. I actually don't really care at all, because for me, this was a free hit. I mean, I was never expecting to go. I said 1-1 in the preview solely because we literally did what we did on Wednesday at Leicester. But really and truly, there was no chance we were beating Chelsea. I mean, we lost, conceded 6 goals before we came here and scored none. I wasn't expecting anything. The only thing I thought he might have done, just because we were such on a big high from Wednesdays, is potentially go more attacking and maybe go at them. But as soon as I saw the lineup, I knew he was going to try and stink it out. And to be fair, it was kind of working until Ziyech pulled that absolute disgraceful goal out of nowhere. I mean, I can't even be mad at that goal. When it went in, I was just like, oh, that's actually a perfect goal. Can't be mad. So it was actually kind of working until that happened. And then Thiago Silva from a set piece. Again, you can blame certain individuals for maybe not marking and maybe not being in the right position. But again, it's a header from a set piece. It's something that happens. So the game plan was kind of working, to be fair. And again, with the disallowed goal, things could have happened. I think the only issue with Conte I have is the personnel that he chose. And if Lucas and Skip were on the pitch, and I heard that certain players maybe had knocks from Wednesday, so that might have been a reason why they didn't play. But I mean, if Lucas and Skip were on the pitch from early and Tanganga wasn't, and sort of maybe Winks as well, because I don't think Winks, not that Winks didn't deserve to play, but he was not very good this game and could have came off a lot earlier for potentially somebody like Brian Hill, who can impact a game a lot better. So certain decisions like that I question. But apart from the sort of way he set it up, it was confusing. But I mean, that's probably the only way we're going to be able to beat Chelsea at this rate. I mean, we've lost 4 times now. So it's just sad to see that it's almost an inevitability that we won't beat Chelsea. But again, maybe if fortune is sort of the other way for us and that goal is allowed and we take the lead, then you don't know what happens. So I'm not that angry. I mean, if we win our 4 games in hand, we still go above them in the league. So that's just something to sort of focus on and sort of look forward to and just sort of take this game as a free hit, to be honest.
Yeah, the thing with the Winks thing, I think he performs better in a 3. When you're in a 2, I don't think he's got the legs to get around the pitch, for one thing, and it's difficult to be able to play against Chelsea in a 2. So that's that. Again, those are when people there's comment says can't blame Conte. Well, of course you can. He's going to take responsibility for picking a team. He's got to take responsibility for the formation. I can understand why Chelsea were playing a 4, but Chelsea have got better players than us. They've got players that can do jobs in better positions than us. So if you're going to go to play a 4, you're going to have to match up at least with some sort of quality. Now, having 2 fullbacks on both sides, or effectively wing backs, Davison Sessegnon. On the other side, you've got Doherty and Tanganga. Tanganga, we all know, has not been very confident over the last 4 or 5 games. So he's always going to be in trouble against someone like Hudson-Odoi 1v1. It's always going to be the case.
Tanganga clearly isn't a right back. Like I don't know why that's still happening.
And there you go.
Centre back.
He's played his whole career at centre back, and then he goes to right back, plays like terrible every game, and we're like, I can't believe it. It's like he's not a right back.
He's not even a centre back.
I don't think he's even a centre back either. So to be honest with you,
Nigel, give me your views. Give me your views anyway. Go on. Let Nigel have his say.
I mean, so I've got a house of Chelsea fans. And we've all woken up equally as non-enthusiastic for this game as possible, right? And I'm thinking, if ever we're going to beat Chelsea, it's today. So I'm not overly confident, but I'm thinking it's today. And then the lineup comes out, and I see a 4-4-2. And like on the most part, I'm with you guys. As in, I thought, okay, why have we got Doherty? Why have we got Tanganga and Davis Davis on the pitch at the same time. That was my main thinking. I couldn't quite figure out what we were doing. But I thought, you know what? The last few times we've played Chelsea, it's been so bad to a point where we've Shane, you said we should bring our own football because we couldn't get anything on the ball. We couldn't. So I'm thinking something. Conte is thinking we need something drastic because clearly he's tried his on the normal 3-5-2 and we basically got played off the park every single time. So I'm not too mad about that. Again, when it comes to the personnel, if we're saying that we had Knox at the time, we miss out on Lucas, we miss out on Son, we miss out on. I would 100% played Emerson just as more reliable than Tanganga because again, I say Tanganga's not a right back, right? And then we actually start off the game, and I think we're more into it than we have been in the other games. I don't know if you guys agree with that, but that's that. In terms of the other games that we played against Chelsea, I think we were actually able to get a foothold on the ball. It wasn't all one-way traffic and us kind of sitting back and hoping for something.
I think what was different today, Nigel, is they didn't score early. You know, once Chelsea scored early in the first game we played against them in the league, when we went in again, we went in nil. This was the Nuno days, though. We went in 0-0. Second half, because we played well in that first game against Chelsea, but Chelsea then worked it out tactically what we were doing. I think in that game, Nuno had two pressing up against their back three, and it was like, oh shit, and then he changed it. And since that point, he's always maintained a tactical approach against us. So all the other games we then played, the other three games, he's changed it, made a back four, but also had the ability to make it into a back five if Ziyech had come back. So he tactically got it right. That's my problem. I don't think we did enough tactically to.
Because Conte don't have the personnel to do anything.
Right. Okay. So did you, when you looked at that team today, did you think that team had a chance to win the game? Realistically,
No.
I saw the game plan. I saw the game.
Yeah, but again, from our perspective, and if I say a lie, say right, we got outplayed in the last three games going with what we've been doing. So we needed to do something drastic. Number two, we lost a lot of personnel. So if we're going from when we got Conte and against Chelsea, I can't be mad that the managers decided we need something drastic to change because what we were doing just wasn't working at all against Chelsea. And number three, you said it yourself, we do not have the players. Maybe it's actually physically impossible for us to beat Chelsea. Like, because I think Conte might have tried a bunch of things, but this was one variation. I don't think you can name me a variation that you could have confidently said this would have yielded great. Like, if you consider all things there, what was the formation and the personnel that was going to yield great results? If you take into account who was healthy.
If you ask me, you start off the game with the 4-4-2. I can understand that. Two things. We know that Winks and Højbjerg playing in the two together hasn't really worked. In a three, we might have seen a little bit more. So that, therefore, if you're going to do
who do you
that,
put in?
So what you do is you either then start to make it a 4-3-3. I would have gone 4-3-3 after about 15, 20 minutes to see how this game's going, because that's what Chelsea did. They'd gone 4-3-3. So you match them up, you can put a wider play. You could have pushed Sessegnon up, made him be that flying person. You could have still had Harry Kane, but you could have, this is in-game management, push Bergwijn to the right. But Tanganga, Doherty has now stifled you because you can't put one of them into midfield. So you've got a problem. Take Tanganga off, don't start him because he hasn't played well. You can put Doherty, played great against Leicester the second half, play him right back. Have Bergwijn or Lucas on the right-hand side. We know that Bergwijn can work coming back. We know Lucas can work coming back. So they can then create exactly what Hudson-Odoi did for Chelsea and Ziyech did on the other side. I don't think there's enough. I don't think we can say that Conte did enough. Yes, I'm not saying the players were good enough, but you can do things. Because other teams have done it against them. Brighton have done it. As
the subs were going to be made at 1-0 though. Was the subs going to be made at 0-0 or 1-0? They were going to be made at 0-0, weren't they? The subs
should have been
or 1-0. Sorry, 1-0 and they scored 1-0 and they scored a second. So I think that he was preparing to actually make a difference and bring on those players. And had we scored a goal at 1-0 and made it 1-1 with Skip and Lucas on the pitch, then it would have made a big difference. I think it was just unfortunate circumstances for a goal like Ziyech's to go in and then us to concede that goal from a set piece as we're making those substitutions to do exactly probably what you're saying, Sam. Because Tanganga and who else came off? I can't remember who else came off. It was Tanganga and somebody else did come off for Lucas and Skip. Was it Winks who came off? So yeah, so those exact substitutions that you said were going to happen. It's just very unfortunate that goal went in as I literally saw the camera pan from the players to the ball going in the box. So I think that Conte was about to make those decisions. I do think that those decisions were going to be made.
Would
Sean, let me come-
4-3-3? All right, yeah, Sean.
Sorry,
All
let
right,
me just get Sean's view. Then I'll come back because this is a good debate. Because, like I said, I managers have to take responsibility, accountability. I'm not saying that the players will be able to play the system that he wants, but I don't think he helped with Tanganga not confident, not having played well in the last 4 games, having not really the best first half in the world. Let's get it right. He didn't have the greatest the first half. Got booked. We know that he's going to be in trouble against someone like Adoy, who's going to be going against him. That should have been made at halftime. Those are the decisions I want to see. Right, I know what's going to happen here. Take him off. Because he's done that before with, I think it was Region. He's done that with a couple of players where you said, right, you've on a yellow card, take you off. Region had that yellow card as well. He did exactly the same thing. So why not do that? We know that we can't, match Chelsea up playing them 11v11 anyway. So when you're playing 10.5v11, which could possibly go to 10v11, it don't make any sense to me. Sean, sorry. Let me get your views and then we're going to come back and have a bit of a talk about it.
I was thinking of logging off. I've been forgotten. I mean, so much has been covered. I mean, I agree with Darius that it was I think when we listen to press conferences pre-match, we really need to listen clearly to what Conte is saying, because he was clearly indicating that there are injuries. He wasn't going to say who to, because he said he didn't want to give Tuchel an advantage, which is understandable. There's clearly, he said that Emerson started the game on Wednesday night with an injury, and it was clear, he'd obviously got hooked again during the first half and was taken off. So he was sitting on a bench for a reason. Skip's got an injury, I think. Lucas has got an injury too. He picked up a knock against Leicester. To be fair, I thought he was very ineffective when he came on. But I mean, I started today sort of breaking up the game into 10-minute spells, and it was like, remember in the preview we said we've got a Pepper Kepper. The first shot on target was Harry Winks with his left foot after 13 minutes, and we'd been it was like shades of the first leg of the Carabao Cup game. They were all over us. It was Quicksilver. They were passing puck round our press. I thought hard as people like Kane and Bergwijn worked, there was no support in midfield. As you say, I think in part that's down to personnel. I mean, that's my excuse for Conte today. He just didn't have the play. He doesn't have the players he's trust. He's got 3 midfielders who, even if they're fit, he's not picking them.
Can I just make a quick
comment? We're already a denuded squad as it is.
I just want to say something to those making comments out there. Please be respectful in the comments. We happen to put people into timeout. Do you know what I mean? Respect everybody on the panel and don't say stupid stuff. Sorry, Sean. Continue.
If that was aimed at me, then fair enough. No. If people were having a go at me, let them have a go at me.
No.
Old enough to take it, But there was lots of things that went on. I thought Doherty was lucky to stay on the field in the first half. That, for me, was a red card. There was a lot of gamesmanship. My God, that Rudiger is a real in your ears, nipping away.
I love it though. I can't lie. It really gets on my nerves, but he does.
That's what we need,
doesn't it?
We need people like that in our team.
And we need play. I mean, what was good was that Dyer and Kane were standing up for us with the referee, but there's not enough of them. You need a crowd of people and different people picking his ear. What else was going to? Lukaku, God, let him take a cross from the right wing all the time because his right leg is dead. His right leg is dead. He's a swinger. No, it was just I gave up after 75 minutes. So I think that says a lot, At 65 minutes, I saw the look on Kane's face, and I thought we're wilted here. We're done. Okay. And those 10 minutes after half time just killed the game. It was just. The Chelsea were just in complete control and didn't even really bother us, Thank God for Hugo.
Oh no, thank God for Hugo. But let me come back to Nigel, because as I said, I think what do you think we could have done potentially to maybe have won that game? Because do you think that there was with the personnel that was on, the way that the team was playing, do you think that there was a possibility that we could have, maybe nicked this game today? And how would we have done that?
Honestly, I think number one, that first goal was very important, but that's another debate. But I do think what killed us quite a lot was Chelsea managing to get space with the switching. Even though we did play four in midfield and 4 in defense with 2 wing backs, we saw even on the Ziyech one, it was kind of like there was an overload on one side and Højbjerg couldn't quite get around to come and cover that space. And I just had to think, like, I don't actually know who we could have put on the pitch with the players that we had today that would have been able to compete with Chelsea. Because even in our best squad, we couldn't lay a finger on them. And we try a new formation, we still get overloaded in midfield. We put more players in midfield. So do you go with basically one up front and maybe drop Bergwijn inside? I don't know.
The goals okay. Well, let me come back. Christina, looking at that game today, do you think I don't know, strength in depth is definitely something that we don't have. But would someone like and this is, I'm getting onto the transfer type of things, because potentially players that would make a difference today, would someone like Adama Traoré have made a difference today? Because I don't see how that would have made a difference to us today. All it would have possibly done is just made Chelsea just a little bit more aware that we've got someone to double team at times, because I just think they were in control of the game. Who could we have potentially brought in that would have made a bigger difference to the way that they performed today?
I think this game just screamed that we need 2 midfielders, creative midfielders, and we couldn't even hold the ball at all. We couldn't even pass the ball. So that's what it was, I think. And I would have had 3 at the back. That's what I would have done as well. Just when we were talking about the formation. It was, we just couldn't have any control of that game. And I think the only player that Harry Kane did really well, I thought. Dyer did pretty, from him coming back, I thought he was good. The rest, it was just, the players just looked so confused. They didn't know what was going on, especially at the beginning. I thought it was really bad. But yeah, to me, it's just lack of creativity. There is nothing going on in the middle. No one can pass. And if this doesn't cry out for it, and Daniel Levy doesn't do anything, we've got no hope in getting top 4 this season. Yeah.
That's humbling, isn't it? After the euphoria, this is what I'm saying. We going back to the euphoria, because we have to take that game into consideration. We didn't give up, but today it looked like it's deflating. It's almost like the game's done once Chelsea score, and that can't be a good thing for Conte to see, because he talks about, my players have got the fight, my players have got this. But Darius, how much fight was there after that first goal? Certainly after the second goal. What did you see that made you think, we can still get possibly back? Remember, we ain't scored in 4 games against this.
I thought there was not opportunities, but I thought when Skip came on particularly, he is such an intelligent player. He creates space by himself. He can read the game a lot quicker than Winks can. And I just think that I think it's kind of crazy how you say Traoré wouldn't make a difference in this game, because I'm just imagining Azpilicueta, Thiago Silva, players like that, Jorginho, who are not the fastest players. He comes on in 70 minutes, and even if he doesn't go and score 2 goals, he's at least making those guys have to run continually. And at least I thought Kane was, like Christine said, I thought Kane was amazing today. Kane was always creating chances. So Kane would have wanted somebody who's going to be able to sort of alleviate his pressure of having to create by at least taking players away from him. At least he's able to get in the box with a bit more space to be able to do what he wants. So I just think, like Christina said, if we haven't got a creative midfielder, then you need somebody who can just impact a game at the end of the day. Lucas is one of those players, but like Sean said, didn't do much when he came on, probably had a bit of a knock, probably wasn't 100% understandable, but there is nothing in midfield. Winks wasn't very good today. And I know Conte has his trust in Winks, but going forward long term, Winks isn't going to be the midfielder that you can play in a 2, like you said, Sam. So you either get a midfielder who can play in both a 2 and a 3, or you can't play a formation with 2 midfielders and Winks, because it's just not going to work out. So a 3-5-2, I think, would have worked out pretty fine, to be fair. You still would have had 3 midfield. I always say you still have 3 midfield, you still have 3 at the back, and you still have 2 up front when you play 3-5-2. It covers all areas.
If you play with Winks as a 2, you need to have someone like N'Golo Kante around him who is going to do all the running. You can't put Højbjerg in there and expect him to do all the running, because he can't do that run. He's not mobile enough. So you're already at a disadvantage with a 2 in there with just Harry Winks and Højbjerg. Skip's got more energy, in my opinion, in terms of getting around. But even him and Højbjerg isn't going to be enough to get around the pitch to do what we need to do. Let's just look at these stats, because this is what I'm saying about how the team actually, we're talking about getting some control in the game. But when you've got 65% possession to 35%, that shows me you don't have control in the game. So clearly the tactic was for a counter-attack. So if you're going to have a counter-attack type game, then surely you're going to need the pace in the wide areas to be able to do that. Doherty doesn't have enough pace on that right-hand side, in my opinion, again, to be able to counter-attack effectively. You're just playing with two defenders, with Tanganga and him on that side. So, like what Chelsea did, they play a wide player who can go wide and who can also track back, because Hudson-Odoi's played wing-back for Chelsea. So, therefore, he's good enough to do that, but he's also good enough to go forward. Doherty, although he's a wing-back, we all know he's not good enough. Just not good enough in the attacking sense, in my opinion, again. So try something else in terms of players that can maybe adopt that position. Bergwijn could have done that in game management, or start with someone like Moura. I'm not sure if Moura had a knock, if he possibly had picked up a knock from Thursday's game, but they're all on the bench still. Do you know what I mean? These players are still there. So just going through the stats, 65%, 35% to Tottenham in terms of possession, 15 shots, 6 to us, 7 shots on target, 3 to us, 10 corners to 3, fouls 17 for not really much in that. How do we get control? Who do we need to bring in, or what type of player? I would say we've already got that player in terms of Tanguy and Ndombele, but that's not going to happen in terms of him playing again. Sean, what are we crying out for now in this transfer market? Do you want to see in terms of business? Because we are going to need to do some business. What do you want to be seen?
Well, we need pace on the wings, and we need, as Christina said, something in midfield. Something, I don't know where from, but we need someone who's creative. We're desperate for not only just being creative, but also being able to get around the field as well. We are a bit too, one-paced, particularly when they come up against Chelsea.
I think Ruben Neves is the ideal person, but you ain't going to get him out of Wolves. The way he played against, I can't remember who Wolves played. It was Brentford. They played against Brentford on the weekend, and he scored the goal. He did everything. He does absolutely everything for them, and he can keep the ball. He's got a crazy distribution and level of distribution of passing. That's the sort of play that you need, and he's a box-to-box player. If you're not going to get somebody like him, like Sam said, you're going to have to get somebody who's just a complete and utter workhorse to compensate for the other players. And again, it's just difficult to find players in the market because all these players are so reliable and so dependent to their teams. Clubs and managers aren't going to want to sell them in January, let alone at all. So you either have to look from within. I think Skip does it well. He does it well, but it's just hard. Again, people mention Maddison, but you ain't going to get Maddison out of Leicester. So you're going to have to be smart in the market and find somebody who people aren't really looking at and have their eye on, because all these players that we mentioned who we need are important players to their squads, and that's basically who we need. We need somebody who's going to take control of Yuri Tielemans, somebody like that who's a general in midfield. It's hard to find a player like that and get them on a good deal, which makes me think if we're going to spend the big money while Kane's playing like this, as much as I would love a great striker and want a striker who's on the same level as Harry Kane, I really believe that a midfielder, spending 60 million on a midfielder would do so much more for our squad than spending 60 million on a striker who may not even play every game, week in, week out. And there are strikers in the market you can get for maybe 20 million, or even just get on loan who can do a decent enough job, and spend that money on a midfielder and really improve and bolster that midfield to where you have a midfield that can compete with the likes of Man City's and Chelsea's. Because somebody mentioned in the comments earlier on, I think it was Potomac, it might have been Potomac, midfield is the most important part of your squad at the moment, and our midfield is probably our worst part of our squad. Maybe our centre backs are the worst. So it's just so important we upgrade midfield properly, and if it's not January, it has to be in the summer.
Nigel, I think there was something on Twitter that Celso maybe put. I'm not sure if it was genuine or not, but something to the effect of, I'm not injured, blah, 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 blah. So, again, players putting stuff out there to say they're not picked for whatever reason. Do you think he would have made a difference in that team today? Lo Celso being one of your favourite players.
Yeah, I think I've made it clear that I'm not exactly in love with Lo Celso, but I mean, I think again, when you look at our team, right, in a game where we come against some certain teams and we don't have maybe a creative midfielder, in the games that I've seen Lo Celso come back from since his injury, I don't think he's a technically great player. He's not the guy who will pick the pass. But I've just noticed, like, in terms of being the guy who's willing to take up that space, because I mean, Højbjerg does that thing where he sends it into the strike and then tries a overlapping run. But Winks and Skip or whoever else is playing in that midfield isn't the kind of player who's used to being there and kind of taking up a position, dropping in behind the striker. I think we scored a goal with him. I think it was the last, not the other game, but the one before that, where kind of Kane's gone on beyond. He snuck in behind Kane, and I mean, it ultimately resulted in a goal just because I think Lo Celso, even at Betis, he was used to playing in advanced areas as well, and he kind of has that kind of brain where he thinks in attacking sense, and that instinct.
He was basically his second striker, wasn't he, Nigel, at Betis?
Yeah, he's got that instinct. So even though he doesn't have quality, I think purely because of our lack of players like that, just because of the areas he's willing to take up, and you know, he's always in and around, he's buzzing, he makes near post runs, he drops off behind Kane. I think his quality is lacking, but when you look at our squad, I think it cries out for someone who thinks like that at the same time. I think that will help us. Yeah, sorry. I'll just say I think that helps us a lot with the smaller teams, especially when we struggle to break down. But again, when I think again when we play the bigger teams, again I think we might need. Will it make a difference? Probably not when we don't have the ball. We might need someone who's pacier that Kane can play an out ball to, or we might need someone again like Tielemans who might put a foothold. But I definitely think Lo Celso has a place within to do something with our current squad.
Darius, I was going to ask, hindsight is a wonderful thing, wonderful tool to have. But do you think the approach of the game in terms of, because I think we may have touched on this earlier, I think in the previous show we said that we should go for it. You know, after the performance against Leicester, you know, what have we got to lose? The game, obviously. But in terms of points, it's not going to be too, it is a free hit. And I think you mentioned that earlier, it's a bit of a free hit. So why not, if it is a free hit, go for it? I know we've not won at Chelsea for a long time, once in the last 36. But why did we not go for it in hindsight?
The only thing I can the only reason I can give is maybe sort of the injuries plus sort of the media embarrassment that may have happened if it was a big score. But even then, I say that and sort of lying down for Chelsea is probably a worse outcome, or it looks worse for Spurs fans if we do that. So I don't know. I sort of said at the end of the preview, I remember sort of saying, I don't think we're going to do that, but I didn't think he was going to go this defensive. I actually think it probably, in hindsight, I actually probably think it was the right idea. I really do hold that fact that if that Ziyech goal wasn't so amazing, like I said, we looked like we weren't going to score. They looked like they were going to score, in fairness, to be fair. But it seemed to me that Ziyech goal was just so out of nowhere and so incredible. And then the Thiago goal came straight after. I thought the game plan was working. I don't know what minute the goal actually was, but if Kane scores a goal like he does with the Thiago Silva foul, the fortune of the game changes. So those sort of games, you take the risk by playing like that. And obviously, I said this with Mourinho every single week when he played like that. If it's a double-edged sword, if you want to play like that and win, amazing. You've stanked the whole place out and won the game. But if you don't, it looks worse. I think, like Nigel said, I just think it's not impossible to beat Chelsea, but it's very difficult to beat Chelsea. And it seems like those players are almost scared of that team and Stamford Bridge. So you may have to just sort of accept that fact, and Conte maybe after losing or seeing the team lose 3 times in a row just thought, right, I'm just gonna have to basically try my hardest not to concede, and maybe a decision to make a sub earlier would have been the decision, and that might have been the factor in the game that might have changed our fortune. But again, like you said, Sam, as much as it's a free hit and we should have gone for it, it's a free hit and we lost. We move on, we win all 4 of our games in hand, and again, like I said, we are still above Chelsea in the league. So I just don't think we need to dwell on this result. I don't think it's a result worth dwelling. If we didn't win the Leicester game, that would have hurt me still to this day. Even if it was 2-2, would have hurt me to this day because we deserve to win that game. I'm not that fussed about this game.
What hurts is not the fact. Sorry, Sean, I'll come to you, Sean, in a minute. It's not the fact that we lost to Chelsea. I said our record shows. I think even in the preview, we all kind of really felt, you know what? a draw is a problem. Everybody said a draw. Nobody said a win because we're not stupid. But what I want to see is the belief from the players that at least they can go there and try. Because other teams have done that. Chelsea are not on the best of forms. So, Sean, is it just purely down to belief against Chelsea? Because when we played Liverpool, I know that's at home, but it's a different matter. We still got some of the big boys to play. We've got City to play. We've got Liverpool to play. We've got Arsenal to play. We've got United. So we've still got a good few games that are going to challenge us in terms of teams that maybe have the better squads. But is it just belief that defeats us against Chelsea, in your opinion?
No, I mean, I think there's a multitude of factors. I think it was available personnel today that's undone us. I mean, I think if he'd had the same players available from Wednesday, I think Conte would have picked the same team. But they weren't available. That's clear, and the injuries are I think the reason why we weren't able to do that. Again, I think he played his cards. He tried to stink the place out, and for half, but to concede in the 47th minute, I think it was it's a body blow. When you like the game plan had been working. I still don't know how Hudson-Odoi managed to get down that line because he was right pinned against the line. But anyway, that's poor Jaffett's to answer for that one. But it's this little things. It's we were clearly second best, and we have been second best to Chelsea all season. But and I don't think we've got, unless we have all our top players available, we won't give them a game. We won't give them a game.
So,
I don't think it's mental. No, I don't think it's mental.
Okay.
I just think our squad is not good enough.
So, given that the players are out, given that we did, and I agree with you on that, we did have a number of players who weren't available. Chelsea can say the same thing, but again, they're miles ahead of us in terms of their depth, I would imagine. Just looking at the games to come, then, and this is for you, Sid. What do you want to see the approach to going? Because we've got an FA Cup game against Brighton. I think our next league game's against Southampton, I do believe, and that might be away as well. What do you want to see from this lot?
And they're in good form as well, by the way.
Improvement. I think that's all they got to do, isn't it? They've just, what it is. Chelsea's our nemesis, right? We've all gathered that. We've already covered it. We've played 4 games. We've had 10 shots on goal in 4 games. In 360 minutes plus, we've had 10 shots on goal against Chelsea, right? And we've not scored a goal, which you lot have said already. The worst thing is...
They're not our nemesis. They're our kryptonite.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, Chesterfield scored a goal against them, right? Aston Villa have, Leeds have, Everton have. None of these lot are playing well. And we, in 4 attempts, have not even scored 1. But I think, forget about today. And I think Conte's just said in his interview as well that when he got here, he says the players, when I came here, the players have decreased, not improved. So that's his statement. They've decreased, not improved. So I don't know what he means by that. Yeah.
Okay.
That's a shot. That's a shot across the bow. That is, isn't it? I mean,
is he doing this deliberately? Dan, I'm going to say this. Is he doing this as almost like a right board? I'm going to play these players. I know I'm even going to put some of these players on the bench, even though they're not fit, because that's what I think. If you put a player on a bench, he's fit enough to play at some point, whether that's to start for 20 minutes or to come on for 20 minutes. If you're on the bench, you're able to play. I don't like all this, well, I'm going to name a player on the bench just because he's a name. He's not going to play. Put youngsters on then. Because if you ain't got someone who can come on, don't play him. That don't make no sense to me. So everybody that was on the bench had an opportunity to play. So there was players on there. Roy was on there, Hill was on there, Lucas, the names are there. Enough players, in my opinion, to make a difference. Not to win the game, but we don't have enough belief. We had belief on Thursday or Wednesday. That's what you want to see. So all these players that are maybe get an opportunity to come in, they should be looking at this right. All I've got to do is make some real massive effort in this game. I don't think. Well, you tell me who was the main standout player for us today.
Kane
and Bergwijn for me. Yeah. And Lloris as well.
Yeah.
That's not enough.
Yeah.
That's not enough.
It's not enough. And do you know what? Just one thing. Roy Keane's just said, because he asked him the question, right, about they've got a top manager at Tottenham. What do they need to do? They need players. And Roy Keane said, who is going to come to Tottenham in January, right? Because no big players going to come to Tottenham that's going to turn them around. And in the summer, who's going to go to Tottenham knowing that Conte's only got another year left on his contract? He said it's going to be a massive problem for Spurs to get players in, especially if you don't get Champions League. And he's spot on. He's 100%. I mean,
I still think that Conte being at the club alone, knowing his track record with players, and it's mainly the sort of improving players. I think a lot of individuals will come to Tottenham for that privilege of having, just for their own careers. I mean, if Conte tells you I'm going to make you into a better player, I mean, I think of Barella. Nobody knew who Nicola Barella was before he was at Inter Milan. Conte brings him in, and now he's seen as one of the better midfielders in Serie A, one of the best midfielders in the world. So I think for a player's perspective, having a manager like Conte improve you is a selling point for me. So that doesn't worry me. It's just, I don't care if it's a £100 million player or a £10 million player. It has to be the right player for Conte's system. We need creativity in midfield as much as we need creativity on the wings as well. And I know that Traore is not a creative wing back, so you still need to try and find a left back. There's many left wing backs or right wing backs who are creative right wing backs who will improve the system. So it is. I don't think it's a case of big names and all these people saying that we need to get these big names in. It's just having a good enough system and Conte and PRTv knowing what they want and actually getting it for him. So if you don't choose your second or third choice, you choose what Conte wants. If he has a player in mind that's going to help him with his squad, you have to get him in. So just back Conte. It literally is just back Conte, and he proves to you what he can do with what he's given and the riches that he's given. So yeah, I have complete faith in Conte. I still do.
You know teams play with false number 9s when they're playing games, right? Like Man City do and people like that. Daniel Levy's playing false details with us because he's just lying to us. He's just giving us false details every week because no matter what we're crying out for, it's true though, because we're not, everyone keeps thinking we're going to get players. We're going to get one player, I think. We're not going to, it's you know what? It's frustrating.
We're not getting 3 or 4 players. I don't know where all this is. We're going to get 1, 2 at the most.
Yeah,
2 at the most.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's it. Christina, is top 4 still on?
I think it all depends on this transfer window. I honestly do. It's like you guys said, though. I honestly, if you don't back him, what was the point in actually appointing like one of the best managers going?
It's a bad business move, isn't it?
It's just, what's the point? I don't get it. If you're going to hire him, help the guy out, and not even that. Like you guys said, you can clearly see what Conte can do. He has improved so many like individuals at the moment. Anyone that will come in would, I think, players would be amazed. You know, they would love to come and be under Conte. And it's just, I just don't. It blows my mind that we're not backing him. And I honestly think if this doesn't work, he will go end of the summer.
Yeah.
And I reckon PRTv will probably go with him as well.
Yeah.
Do you think
that's going to be carnage though? That's going to be complete and utter. Like Daniel Levy.
Well, they're both a shield for Levy. That's all it is. He's built a shield around him because he knows that, you know, he's in the last chance saloon with the fans.
So surely, you're smart, you give him what he wants, because if you don't, like Christina said, and he does walk in the summer, this whole club is gonna go on fire, and like you will not see anything like it. We think that with the whole Kane saga and everything, and Mourinho and Poch and all that was bad. If Conte walks in the summer, I can't. My mind can't even comprehend what Twitter would be like.
This is genuinely the last straw for Levy.
But this is what I mean. Like, I don't think the board is stupid enough to not know that. Like,
no, they are stupid. They are stupid.
I don't think.
The board think we are stupid.
Yeah,
and they've got away with it for long.
But the board haven't put us up in this massive stadium for us to then become Arsenal. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't think Levy's here to watch us. Like, I don't think he just thought, let's hire Conte and PRTv and then we sit in the back and just keep I don't think that's the plan. I don't think they're not backing Conte because that's what they were planning all along. Do you know what I mean? If they don't back Conte, it's because maybe we don't have the draw that we thought, or maybe players are struggling, or maybe they're just terrible in negotiating. But I don't think it was, I don't want to back Conte, or I'm setting up, or he set up a firewall. I think it's intended to.
I think you're right. I think what you're saying is right, Nigel. I think the biggest problem for Spurs is we've made mistakes in the past with players that we brought in on big wages that we have to get rid of before they can bring in these other big players with big wages. You can't get somebody else in on 250 grand till you get rid of somebody who's on 200 grand and the other player, Deji, who's on 140 and the Celso who's on 100 plus. These players are taking up space and money, and just simple economics, you just can't do it. Conte's
the clock is ticking on Conte's contract.
I agree with you on that one. But I think even Conte,
he's with us for 18 months with an option for a year, right? We're pissing away the first transfer window that he's had, and if by the summer, I mean, it will literally depend where we finish at the end of the season.
Yeah,
but Darius made
I can't guarantee that we're going to finish top 4. We're in the mix, but with this squad,
I think you know what it is. I think Conte's alluded to it in a number of press conferences. He said the standard's not high enough, blah blah. We know that. He's also said that January is a very difficult market to get the right players. I don't think, although he may have said this, he wants to get bodies. I just don't think that he just wants to get bodies in. He needs to get the right players into to meet the system, because it's a very specific system.
So intricate, so specific.
Wide players in his system, particularly fullbacks, wide wingbacks, are key to it. If you're playing a 3-4-3, again, your wide forwards are key to it. Playing a 3-5-2, I think we can get away with the two with Kane, Bergwijn, and Son. But wingback wise and forward wise, wide, we've got a problem. That might be the Traore thing. If you can bring him in as a forward and then also potentially give him the wing-back role, I can understand it to a degree. Is he a player that Conte would ideally bring in now? I don't think so, because he's not ready-made. He don't have any end product. He don't have enough stats behind him to make, he's going to come in and score 20 goals. He's going to come in.
I think he's going to surprise you, Sam. I think he's going to surprise
Nigel, I'm telling you.
I'm happily surprised.
I'm telling you, bro.
Who's going to surprise?
Do you know what?
Sid, listen.
We are evolving into an event centre which has a football club. When we used to be a football club with events on it. Wake up, smell the coffee.
I'm not totally against that, to be fair. Like, I get that. Like, that's one side. There's one side of Levy I see and I think, do you know what? He's done incredible for this club. But then there's this side where it comes to the issues of the actual squads, like help us out.
Nah, but the thing is, he's taken us. I get it, but you know, one of them where it's like he's taken us X far because that's how far he can take us. And like we said that with Harry Redknapp, like Harry, you've done amazing, but we want to be this kind of club. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like we had to say goodbye to Harry. I think Levy's at that point where we're like, bro, thank you, we appreciate you taking us to here.
Yes,
but
bro. See you later. You can go.
Yeah, thanks. No offense, but we don't think you're here. Like, I think that's where I think the cussing of Levy is through expectations that he's almost created for himself, and he can't take that next step because he doesn't have it in him. But he's done overall, if you look at it, he's done a decent job. But
okay,
so he's almost got a cheat code. This is the thing. He's almost bought a cheat code.
Let me put it out there for you to answer as well, Darius. Said so. Daniel Levy has done everything in terms of my expectations. Given the grief of last year, given the grief of Mourinho, he's done everything I would imagine that we wanted to do. He's brought in PRTv, managing director of football. Great. Looks like we're changing the scouting network. We're bringing other scouts in. Great. Brought in arguably one of the best managers in world football in terms of a top 3 manager in world football. Fantastic. Right. You've done all that. That's great. But we now need serious investment with Conte, because that's
which he can't do. He can't do it.
So my point is all this. Why would you do that? Why would you bring in Conte? Why not bring in someone who's going to develop?
Like a horrid, sick practical joke on us.
So where are we? Where are we as a club? The point is, you can't bring in Conte, Paratici, and all the rest of it. Big boy stadium, big boy players in terms of people who are going to manage him, but don't give them the tools to do the job. To me, that doesn't make sense.
The big boy stadium is supposed to be the sugar daddy.
It is meant to make the money.
Oh man,
That's what I mean. He can't afford to take us to. We don't have the history of a Barcelona or a Bayern to not need the humongous
Yes,
funds.
we do.
He doesn't have.
Yes, we do. We
can't-
do have that
we have the
history.
history of Bayern
But
Munich.
he is fucking burying it under an
We
event
have the same
centre.
history as Bayern Munich.
Yes, we have the same history as Bayern Munich.
Fair enough.
We weren't, we've been here since 1882. First team to win the cup outside of the professional leagues. We've got the history.
If
Don't-
we're as
don't
big
be-
as
don't be-
Bayern Munich
we
and
haven't-
Barcelona, I need to read up again.
I think what it is, I can understand the points from sure. I don't think we've got the winning history of the likes
Modern
of Bayern
history.
Munich, but
Yeah.
certainly if you look
No
at
modern
Spurs as
history.
Hey, football didn't start in 1992. Just because
that's-
fucking
but if
Sky
we're
have been
going off
covering it,
now,
it didn't
yeah.
fucking start then.
That's-
Take it
going
from
off
me.
now,
I've got the grey hairs to
tangible-
go prove it.
If we're going off tangible, like usable history, like players aren't like we aren't the force offered by me. Like, right, I know if we go back here, Leeds, like Nottingham Forest, it's all very nice, but right now we can't put ourselves and puff our chest and say we are this big
Recency
global
bias,
marketing
Nigel.
brand.
Recency bias.
That's
I
all
have
that
Modern
matters.
history. That's what it is. At the
That's
end
I
of
all
the
that
haven't
day,
matters.
lived through it. I
That's
haven't
all it
lived
is.
through anything like of us winning.
If we could use the
Team one
history that
trophy.
you're on about, Sean, I wish we could, but we can't, and we're just
Yeah,
not
but
with
don't
those
dismiss
companies.
our club like you just have.
No, I'm not dismissing
No,
our club.
no.
but I'm saying
Nigel's
where
saying
we
that the
are right
players that
now-
you want to attract aren't gonna value that history as much as we will. Like these players who see these big clubs, as we call them, see the past Champions League winners, see even to an extent Leicester. To an extent, Leicester have picked up players who we could get, who we have been linked with. And I believe that those players have seen Leicester win a Premier League before us, but later than us, and have seen that and thought, okay, yeah, let's go to Leicester. Unfortunately, anything sort of post 90s, it's just it's sad, but it's the truth, and it's because the players that we want are getting so much younger. Like players are younger than me who we're linked with, and it's like if I don't really sort of know about the history as much as I should, then these players aren't going to. And at the end of the day, if you're not going to give them a big wage, they're just going to see the Barcelona are in turmoil. Barcelona have literally had to take out one of the biggest
Even
loans
if
ever.
you
signing
give players,
It
players.
doesn't matter because
even if
but
you
they've
give
got
players
they managed to get Ferran Torres, who's come from
big
Man
wa-
City.
this big wages thing, even if you give players big wages, is no guarantee. The big wages thing is the
It gets them through the
scouting
door. Gets them
has
through
to
the door.
Hold up.
right. But
I mean, you give
we
big
paid
wages to
50
big
million
players.
pounds for
Performance that you
Ndombele.
want.
We paid 50 odd million pounds for Lo Celso. We got it wrong.
But this
We've
is the
got it
question I
wrong.
asked. This is
My
the question
point-
I asked. Does it matter about the big price tags, the big wages, or does it just matter about getting the actual right players in the
You
team?
get the right.
and the
You're
right
right.
players
Because
in the
Leicester
system? It
got the
doesn't
right
matter about
players.
the big names.
They
Exactly.
got a manager in. The manager knows what he wants to do.
Patson
He gets
Daka
the
and Jamie
players-
Vardy, very similar character
Correct.
profile.
So they get the players in to match what they're doing. Because we're so much of a right, we've got Mourinho in, now we're going to Nuno. Then we've got Ryan Mason in, now we're going to Conte. We've had Poch. It's like there's no consistency in terms of what we're doing long term. So how can we have consistency with the playing staff if every single manager that comes in has a different way of playing? You have to have this vision. You have to have this. That won't work otherwise because we don't have the history of winning consistently, regularly. The mentality of these players are not winners. Hugo Lloris aside, you go through that whole squad
And Kane
and
as
tell
well. I
me.
think Kane has a mentality of when he just hasn't won anything. That's
But
unfortunate for him.
again, even with Harry Kane, I still
does.
want him to turn up in these games. He played well today, but still hasn't scored a goal. He's played
He did
well
play
in these
well.
games, but do you know what I'm saying?
And he basically scored. I can't fault Kane for today, unfortunately.
He did score today.
Kane did as well as he could, and unfortunately, with the quality around him, and obviously the system didn't help. You just like I said, if you're not gonna get a bunch of world class players and pay for
Nigel's
them,
on
like
the
you
drink.
said,
Nigel's on the drink. Is that what's he got? Sorry.
then you have to be smart. You have to be smart in business. All you have to do is be smart and get the players that, like you said, will fit. Conte's system is very meticulous. It's very specific. I don't think that you need to spend hundreds of millions to not impress Conte, but to keep Conte happy. I just think he wants what he needs. And there are certain players that you might have to spend 50 million on, but there's also certain players you might only have to spend 5 million on, and he will turn them into a 50 million pound player. And even then, if Conte leaves and you've just got an amazing player out of him, that's another positive to take from it. So I just don't see why we don't just give the guy what he wants and see what he can do, man.
Let me ask Sid, our transfer expert, before I come around all of you to get your final thoughts. What do you expect to see transfer-wise in the next 7 days? We have maybe 8 days. 31st, isn't it? Because January's got 31 days.
So at the beginning of the transfer window, I told everyone who Vlahovic we were linked with, Kessie we were linked with, Botman and everybody we were linked with, right? And I told everyone, just be careful. Daniel Levy's on the case. We ain't going to get none of them players in January. In fact, we're probably going to end up... And what did I say? The biggest signing was going to be Hugo Lloris. And it's happened so far, right? That's number one. Traore, maybe. We've now got 7 days of the transfer window. We've gone from Vlahovic, Kessie and them lot to apparently looking at a championship defender, a League One player, and a goalkeeper, I think, in the long league, who's going to be a potential replacement for Hugo Lloris,
who's also an Arsenal fan.
Yeah. So how on earth have we gone from Vlahovic, Kessies to League One, Championship, and non-league players? This is the level Daniel Levy is looking at. We don't believe in academy players on bringing them in, apart from a couple we've had, right? We let them go. So what's he going to do? The Jack Clarks, people like that, he's bought them in and nothing.
Conte's not having that. Conte will not have that.
We don't know, but this is what Daniel Levy is. So I'll sign off by saying, don't expect too much. Traore deal apparently is already done and dusted. We'll keep on with that one, and that's it. That's your limit. Him and Hugo Lloris are the 2 January transfer deals. Mark my words. There's nothing else is going to happen.
You might get one other loan deal in if they can get rid of one of these other players. If they can get Dele out the door, if they get Tanguy, that might have a bit of a flurry. But I'm with you. I think we've seen Hugo Lloris sign. That's an extra player there that they're going to say, well, he's now back here for 2 years. And then you're going to get Booker T in on the right-hand side to run down the wing with his baby all on his arms. I'm not sure about it.
One final thing I will say. One final thing. Dele is probably going to go, yes. But 2 other players, Ndombele and the biggest fraudster in history, the con man, GLC, what is going on? And people are still saying, we want to see the best of him. When are you going to see the best of him? Because that man is not even, you know what I mean? He's conning everyone left, right, and centre.
How do you hate Lo Celso more than you hate Ndombele?
I don't hate Ndombele. What I'm saying with GLC, the man is injured. He plays 1 minute, runs around the pitch, falls down the hole, and he's injured. What's wrong with him today? And we're not
I also think it's very telling though that those 3 players were not in the squad, and you put on 3 players with supposed knocks. That's very telling for me. Either one, either one they're all going, or they're not playing anymore, because you literally put on players with injuries over players who are completely fit. I just think that's so telling for me. I think either all 3 of them are going this January, or they won't be playing for the rest of the season. That's crazy. That's really crazy.
I agree. And Christina, I know as much as me and you are Dele fans, right? Have you seen what he's done on Twitter again today?
I've seen he's been on TikTok after the game. Oh my
God. Yeah. What is he? You know what? This is his problem.
He wants out. He's done. He's done.
I know.
Newcastle will come and get him, and he will do the exact same thing he did at Tottenham at Newcastle, and the Newcastle fans will hate him, and we'll have to try and flog him out to somewhere.
I don't think he will. I think he'll do bits at Newcastle. If he goes.
There's no way he would. Do you think Dele Alli's up for a relegation scrap? There's no way Dele Alli's up for a relegation scrap. Absolutely.
He's fallen out of love with the game. He's fallen out of love with the game.
Yeah.
I agree with what Sean's saying. I think he's there for a payday. If he goes to Newcastle, he's going to Newcastle for a payday. Nothing else. That's
2 signings. 2 signings. That's it.
Right. I'm going to come out to all of you. Start with you, Christina. Final thoughts. We've got an international break, and what do you want to see after that international break?
3 points.
But in the cup.
Oh man, I need to stop purchasing tickets, because literally I feel like I haven't seen us win for ages. Like actually going to the game. I'm going to Brighton, but just I hope to see some things going next week in the transfer window. But like you guys said, I think those 3 players today, I think they're gone now. I think one player will be signed. I think that'll be it. 2 most.
Yeah. It's with 8 days left. It's not looking like we're going to see 4 players coming. Nigel, final thoughts for today, and then what you want to see after this international break.
Yeah, I mean, what I will say is, I mean, initially when it was the early days of Paxton and it was Mike and Sam at the top and they were the kind of optimists, and then it was me and Darius just sitting down there saying, I don't think what you're saying is going to happen. I was really like pessimistic on the team, but at the moment, like I have to agree with Darius again. This Chelsea game, we can't read into it too much. Like we kind of knew what was going to happen when we walked into play Chelsea, and it kind of did. They scored an inevitable wonder goal, and it just, of course,
can put it with the Matic one. What else can you have? The Hazard one as well.
I mean,
put it into the collection, man.
Yeah.
It's guaranteed. It's guaranteed. I don't think we should read into this too much. I mean, we are not by any means out of top 4. Like I still think, if I was to put a bet on, I would still say we're favourite. I think a Champions League spot is 100% on for us, and
over Man U. Over Man U.
100%.
Okay.
I think
Man U
100% we can aim for that. We're gonna struggle against some big teams, but again, I think if we keep plowing and working on against and getting some good results, we've been consistently undefeated under Conte, and there's tangible performance improvements. So for me, I'm not marking this as a big Conte's gone by this summer. This isn't going to be the telling point. I think top 4, maybe the summer with Champions League, we see what we can get, but I'm not ruling anything out yet. And, you know, I think we keep plowing on. Hopefully Kane growing into it. Hopefully he has a good turn of the season coming back from the international break, and we get Son back healthy and we get Romero back healthy. And I think it's only onwards and upwards from what we've seen at this point.
Well, he's gone from negative Nigel to new beginnings Nigel. That's fantastic.
Very zen.
I'm loving this new Nigel. Completely. Sean, final thoughts
big up
today.
to Nigel. I think that's a much more positive spin than I can see.
I remember some of Nigel's rants before. I was like, oh god, he's gone. We've lost him.
No, but I like Nigel. I love Nigel's to camera stuff as well. It's really good. But I think I hope that we have some additions, but as Sid has said, I don't think that's going to happen. I want us to progress in the FA Cup, to be honest. And I also agree with what Darius said earlier. Conte is an attraction, but Conte in the Champions League is a bigger attraction. And I think we need to we need to sort of rein in our sort of thoughts about what players can come through the door in the summer. I think it will become quite clear quite quickly after the season's end how this is going to pan out. I'm very pessimistic about that, to be honest, at the moment. And the thing is, we've got a great manager, we've got a so-so managing director, and we've got a numpty for CEO. And we've got a great land economist, which is what his degree was in. He's great at developing land. And I'll look forward to going to his cinema. But I want my football team. I want stars in the white shirts on a Saturday. I want them fans. I want the opposition being scared to come to this super duper stadium. I just can't see it. No, I said long ago, I will go to my grave and not see us win the title. And Potts gave me a lot of hope, and that's how I feel at the moment.
Ben's done his warm down, and he said we're not good enough for Champions League, so he's got to watch the show. Thanks, Ben, for that. You did all right today. You were all right today. Sid, final thought. He was all right. No, I can't. If I'm going to look at Ben Davies,
I thought him and Davinson in that first half were a shambles.
I thought Davinson playing on the left-hand side. I don't know what the.
Well, we know that. We know that. You and I think for the same engine.
What's going on? But there
should be a wall built down the middle of the pitch so that he stays on the right-hand side.
This is what I'm keep saying.
Davinson Sanchez.
Every time he's on that left-hand side, he can't play on that very well, and we just keep persisting with things like this. So I almost look at it as it's almost like Conte saying, "Hold on a minute, Daniel. Have a look at this. He can't play no matter what. Tanganga's played for the last 4 games. He's shit." He's basically saying these players are not very good, but we'll see what happens. Anyway, Sid, final thoughts.
I think when he meant attraction, he meant helter skelter, didn't he? Going on one of them rides, but
roller coaster.
Roller coaster, yeah. Final thoughts. You know what? I agree with what Darius and Nigel and all them. So today's game was, I don't think after Wednesday we all went in hoping we can get a win, but reality obviously come and hit us back where we belong, and we got nothing as always. International break now, just smooth things over, try and get the players in, the 2 that apparently we're going to get, and let Conte work his magic, and hopefully we push on. Like everyone's saying, top 4, I'd rather have the points than the games in hand, because push comes to the shove. If it comes to the final 2 weeks of the season, we've got to play 17 games to get Champions League.
I've seen that before.
I know, and it's
in the 1980s.
Yeah, it's going to be a problem.
Playing every 2 days.
Exactly, and that's going to be a problem. So yeah, we just forget about today's game, move on. Next game after the international break, FA Cup Brighton as well, whatever, and just go again. Relax, breathe, and go again. Upwards and onwards.
Before I come to Darius, because I totally agree. Punch bag workouts has got it spot on. Back Conte, simple as. I think that's basically what he's trying to say. It's just true. Darius, final thoughts.
You know what? New Beginnings Nigel's got me actually feeling really positive.
New
now.
Beginnings Nigel. Yeah. I like
I'm
that.
gonna have to change his name now on the WhatsApp.
Genuinely, I can't lie to you. I don't give a damn about this game at all. I genuinely don't care about this game. Chelsea beat us 3 times and we haven't scored once against them. We never looked like we were going to beat them in those 3 games. So realistically, we win, we lose, okay. But if we win our next, or not 4 games in hand, but if we do win our 4 games in hand, we go above them. I'm going to keep saying that. And also, what I will say is top 4 is so important. I don't care what anybody says. The amount of players that you can get from just solely getting that 4th spot will be so drastic. And even though, yes, if we don't win the FA Cup, I'll be heartbroken because I really think the FA Cup is on and we should go for it. But if we can get in that top 4 and prioritize it, bearing in mind the only teams around us who don't have a competition to play in is Arsenal. But again, Arsenal can't even beat 20th place Burnley. So I'm not that bothered about them. If we can get in that top 4 and like Sean said, have Conte at the helm, attract players who are Champions League quality, the sort of level difference that you'll see from this season to next season will be so drastic because I expect these players to leave. I expect Ndombele. PSG come ask him for Ndombele, give him whatever they want because that's one club that don't care that they'll pay him 200k. And also, I've heard rumors apparently some sort of PSG needing more French players in their team or in their squad or something. So I think they do need Ndombele. Make that deal happen. Get Dele to Newcastle. It's not going to happen anymore. And I think that you can really look forward. It's going to be a tough season. Everybody knew it was going to be a tough season. Nobody thought Conte was going to join Tottenham partway through the season. So like some people have said, I guess we should feel a bit lucky and privileged that he's here. So, because I definitely didn't expect him to be at this club one bit. I mean, from when those sort of rumors of him joining in the summer died off and Nuno was in charge, I did not expect Antonio Conte to be here. So
basically, Sean's saying that's time up. That's time up. That's what he's doing.
Yeah, all I'm gonna say is back Conte, and make sure that we stay positive. We just need to stay positive. It's what is Chelsea. Chelsea always beat us. Let's move on.
Sean, what are you doing? Sean, you're playing as much self-sabotage as Conte's did in the team selection today. That's what he's doing. Self-sabotaging the stream. Oh man,
just give him what he needs. Man. It's so simple. It is
definitely.
So
okay, last few comments here. So Punchbag workouts. I agree on top 4. It's more important than some people realize. However, I understand it's not as exciting as winning the FA Cup. And Ndombele to PSG. Simon Stephen. Oh, sorry. Let me read this out, and then you can tell me. We got top 4 year in, year out, and had some great runs in the Champions League, and nothing changed. We even went 18 months without making a single signing. Sorry, go on, Sid. What was you going to say?
No. I was just going to say, apparently all this about Ndombele going to PSG is because apparently he's been told that the beef in the burgers in McDonald's in France are thicker and better than the England one. He gets more beef and more meat out of it, apparently. So they've told him to go.
Yeah, his last Uber Eats gave him a Mac
lads,
instead of a Big Mac.
We can't descend into. He didn't even play today, and he's giving him pelters still. Do you know what I mean? We've got to leave this guy now. I've left him. Guy, I love you as a footballer because I think you're talented, but you can't play for Spurs. You need to go and do something else in your career. But this lot are still giving you grief about the McDonald's. Oh my God. That's terrible. That's terrible. We look like a Conference South team today. David, come on. We weren't quite that level. We just can't beat Chelsea. That's all. Oh, God. Well, we've got a bit of a break. Let's hopefully we get one or two signings. I think we're probably going to get one in and Hugo Lloris is signed. So that's a 2. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. But anyway, for those of you who are still watching, there's over 85 of you still watching. Great. Please hit that like button. Make sure you smash that like button. All the rest that you are going to be watching on catch up or whatever you're going to be watching on Spot or listening to on Spotify. Also, make sure you hit that like button and comment as well. Make sure you leave some comments for us. Hopefully, we've been as balanced as we can. It's not all opinions are agreed upon, and certainly we've had some in the comments to suggest that maybe there's other areas that we need to maybe think about as well. But I think it's been a good show. Here, Potomac is even saying that. Great show as always, Sam and panel. Good therapy. I'm smiling a little bit. I think I'm getting a little bit hungry now as well. So, Punchbag workouts. Rumors since we've gone live. Is Kessie been agreed, but agent wants more wages in the summer?
Yeah, I've just read that as well.
Kessie. Do you know what though? I see Kessie playing.
Apparently had a great game again today. Scored a great goal in AFCON today. So.
I hope so, because what I've seen, I'm not happy. But that's a different matter. Let's just get some players in. We might just need to get bodies in. Therapy session done, guys and girls. Darius, Sid, Sean, Nigel, and Christina. Therapy session over. Thank you very much. We are going to reconvene at some point very soon. We've got an international break, so we can at least have some time to reflect.
More injury.
Oh, don't be like that. Anyway, that's time. That's time for us to go now. I think we've done enough. Anyway, thank you all for watching. We will see you again very soon.